Hello, scholars and listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Scholar Chit Chat. I'm your host, OJ, and today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Gift Samuel David, and he is someone I've known for a while now. We met as Commonwealth scholars, but interestingly, he also went on to bag an Erasmus Mundus Scholarship and complete another master's degree. So he's one of those people that really like book. And he's here with us to share his experience on that. That's the second one, the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. So welcome, Gift. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, OJ, for having me. I'm excited to be here and then to share my experience with potential Erasmus Mundus scholars. Let me put it that way, potential.
Yes, yeah. So thank you so much. So I've said a little bit about you in the introduction, but I also want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and talk to us a bit about your background and kind of the research you do and why you went for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Samuel David, as earlier said. But what OJ hasn't mentioned is so much enthusiastic about microplastic pollution. I wouldn't say obsessed, but whatever concerns microplastics and pollution in the aquatic environment, you can count me in. So that's my area of research, and that's what I really want to be known for in the next couple of years. Yeah, that's really what I want to be known for. I had my BSc at the University of Oyo in Nigeria, and then bagged a Commonwealth scholarship for my master's at the University of Manchester, where I did something on microplastics. And then also too, I went on for a second master's, and then I went on for this master's because I needed something specific. There are some specific skills are required that I know I would need them for my PhD. And this Erasmus that I saw had these skills, and that's why I went for it. And while I was still on my MS in the UK, and I got it, and then I just concluded. It's been nice that way.
That's really, really great. So microplastics, I've heard a lot about microplastics, at least their effect on humans. Okay, well, even on aquatic organisms too. I think people talk about generally just like what plastic does in the ocean, but I think I've heard a bit about what microplastic does in the human body. So, hopefully, we're hopeful that from your research in the coming years, you're able to help us find solutions to this problem, right?
Exactly. Yes. That's my motivation.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think as well, you've mentioned about the Erasmus scholarship. So I just want to give you the opportunity to give our listeners a brief introduction into what the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship Program is. You mentioned that it had something that your previous masters did not have. So that's really interesting to hear about. But generally, before we even go into more specifics, how does the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship work?
Okay, so the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship is a funding given to international students, or not international students from all over the world, to pursue an Erasmus Mundus program. And these programs are programs that run between what we call a consortium. So we could have 2 to 3 or more institutions coming together to enroll students for a particular degree. And this degree, students will do these courses in each institution per semester. So you end up studying in 3 to 4 or 5 institutions across 2 years. It's an in-depth master's, otherwise known as a master's by research, where you study for 2 years, and then at least 1 year of your study will be dedicated to research in form of internship and even summer school. The unique thing about this Erasmus Mundus scholarship is that it is funded, and then also you have transportation and the rest. I think I'll stop there for now. When we go in depth, I would discuss further.
Awesome. Thank you for this appetizer, I would say, because there's a lot of multiple questions and directions I could go from just what you've answered. But I think first, what I would like to ask is, what's the name of your program? So personally, I've gone through Erasmus Mundus platform, and I've seen programs really have very interesting names. So what was the name of your own program that you finished?
Okay, mine is called International Masters in Marine Biological Resources, short form IMBRICI.
Exactly, they usually have those interesting short forms. And you mentioned as well that
exactly.
you would do it across different countries. How many countries did you visit for yours?
If I recall correctly, I did my first semester in Ghent University, that's Belgium, second semester in Italy. Then I
Okay.
went for an internship also in Italy,
Okay.
and then I went to a summer school in Sweden. That was how my first year went. Then
Okay.
for the second year, I resumed my third semester in France, and then I did my thesis in Ireland. Then we went back to France for the graduation, a
Okay.
1 week like graduation and other team building activities. Yeah.
That's very, very exciting. Like, apart from learning, I'm sure that it exposes you to a lot of other things, just traveling and all
Yes,
whatnot.
quite a lot. You get to meet, you get to see different culture, different
Yeah.
background. Even within the program itself, the
Yeah.
number of persons you met, it's like traveling across different continents or countries, but within in the same room. Because I've met people from about 30 nationalities for the same program. Yeah, so
Wow.
it's very unique. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really, really awesome. So, I mean, just hearing it, if I have never heard about Erasmus Mundus Scholarship before, this is like very, 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 very amazing, very, very intriguing. So, let's assume someone is just hearing about it for the first time and is interested now. Like, you have the person's attention and the person is looking to apply. What are the components of the application process that they should be aware of?
So first thing first, the person must understand that they have to apply to the proper program. There are about as of today in the catalog, there are about 191 programs. We call them consortium, the combination of different schools per program. So we have about 191 programs, and depending on what you study, you must see something that cuts across you. The name might be different, but when you go inside each program, you will see something that relates or that connects with what you studied. So you must apply to the proper program. That's one first, something very key, because if it's not connected, then you can as well count yourself out of the race. And then you must also pay attention to the documents required. These are the typical scholarship documents like your transcripts, your diploma or certificates, recommendation letters, also your SOP or your motivation letter, and then your international passports, your test of English language, which could be IELTS or TOEFL. Think that's basically that for documents required. Also take note of the deadlines. The deadline varies. It doesn't have one deadline for all the Erasmus Mundus programs. Some of them could start as early as August and then end before September, while some could start from even January and end by February, March. So the deadline varies per program, and also there are different grading methods for each program. So one should also pay attention to the grading method. That's the scoring criteria for each program, and I think that's that.
So, the scoring criteria is like you can see it when you're applying.
Yes, you can see most of them make this available. Like for some of the programs I have applied for under Erasmus, they will tell you your motivation carries 40 marks, your previous degree carries 10 marks, your test of English language carries 10 marks, your recommendation letter carries 20 marks, and then others carries 10 or 20 marks here. So it's been shown. So you're shown this. In that case, you would know where you have to put in more effort so that you could get maximum scores on that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really helpful. I know not a lot of scholarships. I mean, for instance, Commonwealth that we did doesn't have that. You really cannot say for sure what the grading looked like. But so I think this is a very, very helpful guide for people to look at that criteria and know that you meet at least to a very good extent from your own assessment. You meet it very, very well before actually venturing into application. I think you also made the point about like the programs. I mean, that's a lot. If you have 191, that's close to 200 programs.
Yeah.
That's so
about 200 programs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
really. Yeah, and the interesting thing about this is, no matter what you studied, you should see at least more than 2 programs that cut across what you studied as for your BSc. That's the interesting thing about it. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, really awesome. That's interesting. I think, because I remember I had applied to one Erasmus Mundus initially in my early stage. I think I applied for the IDOH, infectious disease and One Health. That was like my interest. Then, interestingly, I went on to do a One Health Masters and even a One Health PhD, but I didn't get into IDOH, sadly. But I would have been part of the people that were traveling across Europe. But no. I think as well, for my recollection of the application process, is there a specific CV? Because I know a lot of time people talk about like an Erasmus
Yes,
CV or
yes.
something.
Yes, we have what we call the Europas CV. Most
Mm,
Erasmus Mundus programs here, they are bent on it. Like you must submit it. It's just like a website. You go there. It's this. The website belongs to European Union. That's what it's like trying to put. The EU is quite with many countries, so it's like having a standardized CV to assess all applicants using the same format or using the same criteria. So they
okay.
encourage all applicants to submit Europa's CV. It's quite easy to arrange one, and then you submit. Some programs are not bent on it anyway, but most of them you must submit. You should submit the Europa's CV.
So would you say that is there like a specific way of filling the Europa CV that is completely different from a regular CV, or how do you like optimize to have a very good Europa CV?
I mean, if you do have a good CV already, then making the Europa CV would not be difficult. This is because once you visit the Europa CV website, create an account, click on CV. They have all these subsections like education, further learning, research experience, and the rest. So you could just copy and paste what you have already in your good CV. Your CV should be okay, and then you just copy and paste. And they have other areas where you can rank yourself, like they have things like language skills where you can rank yourself, like what's your language skill level and other things. Yeah, and also too, it already has format, so you're sure that by the time you're saving it, you're not worried about what format because the system is set already to whatever you give it. It gives you a specific format. It has about 3 or 4 different formats you would select. It asks you to pick from one, and then you now save it as PDF.
Okay, that's helpful to know. Thank you. And I guess yeah, but I think would you like suggest that someone that wants to go for the Erasmus, even when the program doesn't ask for the Europass, is there any benefit to using the Europass CV anyway?
Yes, it's beneficial to use the Europa CV. This is because for most jobs within Europe, they will ask you for Europa CV. So you might as well start learning how to use it now. Then even if the program doesn't request it, I think it's a nice way for the program to also grade you because most of those sections that they are looking for is would be included in that Europa CV, and then you would do well to explain. You would do well to provide a lot of information. And one thing with the Europa CV, it's always long. Yes,
Mhm.
because yes, the questions you'll be asked to fill and like the things you'll be asked to fill would make
Yeah.
the Europa CV. Yeah,
Okay, so that's actually a good point to make. That's definitely a benefit. Like if you want your CV to be lengthy, if you use the
yeah,
template, it helps
exactly.
you. All
Yeah,
right, that's
exactly.
really, really great. So I would say, okay, so I think I would move on to like from these application requirements. Just I think as you said, they are mostly things that you would need for most applications anyway. So yeah, that's not too different in a sense. But I think one thing that you've mentioned already that's quite different is the fact that the programs are named specially. So they have just like we
Yes.
said your own. Although like when you say marine something something, it kind of okay, you kind of have an interest in aquaculture and oceans and environment. So I guess marine would hint that or maybe this is something you should look at. But apart from that, how can students like identify a suitable program for their interests?
The first thing first to do if you're just new to Erasmus Mundus scholarship is first you search on Google Erasmus Mundus catalog, and then you follow the link to the catalog of that contains 191 different programs. The names are quite funny. You
Yeah.
could see, yeah, for instance, you could see something like safe and reliable nuclear applications. That's quite a funny name, but when you go inside, you could see
Yeah.
that this particular program cuts across somebody who did maybe chemical engineering, or
Mhm.
maybe chemical engineering, or something of that sort. Yeah. So the first and first is to visit the catalog. When you visit the catalog, it has a filter where you can filter the catalog because 191 programs is quite much. You won't have the time going each individually. So You use the filter and then look at the subject areas that are connected to you. Once you use that filter, it would reduce the number to probably 16, 20, 25. Then once you see the name of the program, you could tell what program it is, and then you click on the link, open up and read more about the program. When you read about the program, you would see, okay, what are available, what modules are available. So we have what we call track. For instance, in my program, it's called, the program itself, or consortium itself, it's called International Master in Marine Biological Resources. But inside this, we have different tracks. Just like, how would I put it? When we're in school in Nigeria, like for a course like animal and environmental biology, when you reach your final year, you're now go into something like, you will now choose whether you're doing ecology or entomology. So different areas. So that's how it's known. It's called tracks. Yeah. So for instance, in mine, we have the track of economy. We have that of impact assessment. We have that of ocean literacy. So these are different. Yeah, these are different areas of study within this program. Once you enter the program, look at the different track. Once you see the track, you can tell, okay, does my future or does my career path or what I intend to study, does it connect with any of this track? Because you should be able to connect this to any of this track when you're putting up your essay. So when you see the track and then see the models, and then possibly, if you still have more time, look at some of these programs. They would list the lecturers involved, like probably the host institution lecturers. You could go through their profiles and see what are their areas of research. Does it connect with what I'm doing or with what I'm looking to do? Yeah. So when you look at that, you can know. You can tell if this program is good for you or not. And then another thing is to check the requirements and eligibility. They are more or less the same. It doesn't have there are no age limits in Erasmus programs. But another thing would, most of them, you must have seen people win Erasmus with 2.2 grade. Yeah, so I think 2.2 should be the minimum. But then with your 2.2, you should have something extra. Then also look at the potential and career opportunities for each of these programs, because there will be enough information for each program of what telling you what each program does, the courses you will do, if there are internships, how many internships you will get to attend, and where you might get to do your research, your thesis at the end of the day. So this information can give you a pointer where career opportunity can go. Yeah. So those are some of the things that you should look at when to see if a particular program is suitable for you as a potential Erasmus Mundus scholar.
That's really great. Thank you so much for this very, very in-depth explanation on how to select a program. I think it will be really, really helpful because you've covered a lot of things, and I think you've also provided steps on. So if somebody's listening, for me, actually, as you're speaking, I actually went to Google Erasmus Mundus catalog and I found it, and I found the 191. And when you said filter based on field of study, I did that, and again, that really streamlined the search for me. Even just looking at the names, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see potentially how this is relevant to my field of study. So that's definitely that's definitely a way to go. So I think one of the interesting things you've mentioned as well that I kind of found very intriguing about the program is the internship opportunities. So how does that work? So it's embedded in, and I think I'm going to ask this as a twofold question. The internship opportunities, are they embedded into the curriculum, the structure of the program already? So it's compulsory, you must do it. And is it the program that's giving you a placement, or do you have to find a placement yourself? I think that's one end. And then as well, the financial costs, are these internships, are they paid, or it's you're receiving your stipend anyway, so there's no extra financial coverage? Or do you have to find during that time something that would pay you? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Okay. So the internship, for some programs, they call it professional placement. Some call it internship. Yeah, so it is embedded inside the program. For most of the programs that I know, yes, you must do the internship, and the length of time varies per program. Some could be 2 months, some could be as long as 4 months. Yeah. That's because that's one of the goal of these Erasmus Mundus programs or joint masters, is to give students or applicants that industry related experience, so that by the time you are already set to come into the job market. Yeah. So the internships they are compulsory. You have to do them. And then for in terms of placement, it differs per program. For instance, in my program, I have like what we call it's like a portal where we have partners. These partners are institutes and other universities that want students on placement on internship. So what they do is that they would publish a list of different topics, and from different partners across Europe, even in Africa, North America, and the rest. And then you go this portal and then see which one connects with you, and then you put your interest. So one or two more persons can have interest in one internship placement or one internship topic, and then apply for it. And then the professor at that institute can pick one or more students, and then that's how it is. You get connected. For some programs, I've heard, for some Erasmus Mundus programs, you have to search for the internship location or for the internship place, which can be tedious. Then for the payments, as far as I know, you're not being paid because it's part of the funding. Your monthly stipend covers for that. So it's part of your Erasmus course, so it's not being funded separately. However, there are some, you might be lucky to have a place where accommodation was provided for you, courtesy of the internship place, or maybe transportation is being given to you, maybe to substitute how much you pay daily for your you might be lucky to get that. And so it's not being paid separate. So the stipends you are being paid monthly is what you use for that. I think that answers your question.
Yeah, it does actually. That's interesting. I mean, I think that's something that is really, really intriguing or interesting for me, or appealing as well. Like I really like the fact that this internship or industry experience is woven into the structure of the program. Is really, really very, very valuable, because a lot of times I find that can be difficult to translate from from auditory to actual practical. But if you have this internship experience in your CV and you want to maybe apply to the industry, don't know that you're not just all about the knowledge, you actually have applied these skills practically as well. So that's really, really valuable. So I'm trying to streamline my questions now because we're running out of time. But I would say, so I think because we've talked about money a bit, I think one of the things I would like to ask is, based on the stipend and all the movements and just living costs, is the stipend generous, or do people have anything to worry about? Do you have to be worrying about money and getting side gigs or those kind of things when you're doing an Erasmus Mundus scholarship?
Okay, so I would speak this from my experience as somebody who did 1 year masters in the UK, being paid in pounds, and then coming to Erasmus and being paid in euros. So there are two value of Erasmus funds. There are two values of Erasmus funds currently. We have for some programs, you're being paid 1,000 euros monthly, and then you're being paid something they call it installation cost, which is 3,000 euros per year. They pay you that two times, first year, and then also the beginning of your first year and beginning of your second year. This is to cover the cost of movement within for the first year, moving from your home country down to your host institution, and then for second year to cover for all different kind of movements. So you're being paid 1,000 euros per year, 1,000 euros per month, and then 3,000 euros twice, making it 30,000 euros altogether. That's what you're being paid at the end of the day. And then there are other programs, newer programs, where you're being paid 1,400 euros per year, and that's just it for 24 months. I think it comes up to about 30,000 euros also. What happened is this: EU funds these different Erasmus programs every 5 years. For the last 2 years, for those programs where funding had expired, they successfully got new funding. They are using the new format of funding, which is 1,400 per month, while those who are still on the previous funding agreement pays the 1,000 per month and then the 3,000. Yes, it is quite okay, but what is interesting about this funding, this stipend, is that different EU countries have different living costs or standard of living. So somebody who lives in Finland, somebody who lives in Ireland would have different experiences depending on the fund, depending on their stipends. For instance, in Ireland, the average cost for a shared apartment is 650 to 700 euros. That's about 70% of your stipends alone. While in Italy, the average cost for shared apartment is 350 euros. So that's about half. Somebody who did use our program in Italy would save more. That's with all factors being equal, somebody in Italy will save more than somebody who is living in Ireland or in Norway.
Paris, France.
Or no, France, Portugal, Italy, they are a bit close. Western Europe, it's a bit cheaper. Western
Interesting.
Europe, but when you go
Yeah.
to if you're in Ireland, the UK, then Sweden, Norway, Denmark, yeah. So the 1,000 euros is not quite a huge money, but then it's still okay. It can still, for an average life, it can still cover for your basic amenities. It's quite difficult seeing part-time jobs while you're doing Erasmus. This is because of the different movements. Every 2, 3, 4 months, you're moving countries. So before you
Mm,
have the time to settle down, and then you're moving country again. That's one. And then secondly, the language barrier. But there are some countries where you might have exceptions that like Belgium, if you live in the big cities like Brussels, Ghent, or Bruges or Antwerp, during summer school, you might see jobs that you could do if you're an international student, English speaking student that you could do here to substitute. But and also too, Erasmus doesn't give you that leverage to be able to even look for part-time just because it is super intensive. The only time that you might be able to look for part-time jobs will be during during the summer.
yeah.
This will be July, August. Yeah, that's the only time you are a bit free. End of July, beginning of August. That's when you're able to look for something extra to do. But generally speaking, the 1,000 euros should be enough for an average life. Yeah.
Wow, this is a lot of analysis, but yeah, I think it makes sense to me, and thank you for pointing this out because I think I would not have normally thought about it, but it makes a lot of sense because again, even when we were Commonwealth scholars, we had this London living allowance because the cost of living in London was different from most of other parts of the UK. And again, like even then,
Yes.
since I was in London, I still felt it was a scam because the difference it still did not mean anything. It was like the difference was like almost night and day between like living in London and maybe somewhere in Scotland, like people. So yeah, it does make sense how where you live will determine like how much you save, how much the money can do for you as well. So I mean, as we're wrapping up, I think I have two questions for for you that I would like you to actually talk about. And I think
Okay.
so the first one I would like to ask is again, it's just for the people who are applying. What advice would you like to give them that would help them strengthen their application and something like so or a mistake that people normally do that you be like, oh, don't do this mistake to be able to get in. So I think yeah, that's the first question.
Okay, yeah, this is that's super good, yeah, for potential applicants. First and first, let there be a match between your previous degree and the program you are applying for. This is because if there is no match, you will not be able to explain or to express exhaustively what you intend to study. The
Mm.
good thing about Erasmus, there is no how you go through all the 191 programs and you don't see one or more programs that cuts across your interest. There is no way. So
Yeah.
so the first and first is to ensure that something connects your previous degree and the program you're applying for. Even if it's not your previous degree, your experience, one, and also two, the massive online courses that you've done. Something should just connect. So if so, someone may say, oh, I am switching careers. If you're switching careers, then let the program you're applying for match your experience and some of the courses that you've done after leaving your previous degree here. So let that match. And then secondly, show progress of what you are already doing to match what you want to do. What I mean is that exactly you intend to study One Health while on your previous degree or in your previous experiences. Have you been doing something related to One Health? So let there be a connection here between what you've been doing before and then what you intend to do. And also, too, please pay attention to detail. Yes, SOP, there are no generic SOP across the consortiums. Each consortium has like a question, just like Commonwealth. Like for my program, we had about 6 questions. So you have to write, so I wrote like 6 different essays for the different questions being asked. Some of them 500 word limits. But their word limit, I can't remember, but there were like 6 questions you had to answer. So the SOP is not generic. So don't just copy one SOP and go and paste. Your SOP should be targeted to what you are, to the questions being asked, and then give to deadlines, and then also to the required document that can play a huge role. For instance, they will tell you IELTS counts for 10%. If you don't submit your IELTS or TOEFL then you have lost out on 10 marks. They could tell you your CV counts for 15 marks, and the CV should be Europas CV, and then you submit ordinary CV, lost mark on there. So pay attention to the required documents, and also keeping to deadlines, I think.
Thank you very much for that. And I think, yeah, it's about almost the same thing we tell people when you're applying for any scholarship. You have to make sure that you are a perfect fit and that your statement is what they ask for and is unique or like distinct to that particular application. Don't just copy and paste things or use somebody else's essay and all those kind of things. Okay, so
Exactly.
thank you so much for that answer. And I think that brings me to the final question. And I think you're one of the few people as well that can answer a particular question, because you have two master's degrees. And again, your second master's degree was very expansive as well. Because the Erasmus Mundus one was a completely different kind of experience from even the UK
Yes.
master's degree. So
Yeah.
I would say the stuff is I think the question is what were the benefits for you for having these multiple master's degrees, and if there's something, I would say this like an addition, a bonus. If there's something you like to share about the Erasmus Mundus experience that would inspire the people that are listening. That's the final question from me.
Okay, so like I stated earlier, I did a 1 year master's in the UK. So I knew what I was pursuing, like what I needed to do for my career. And then I saw that there was like a depth that wasn't filled by the masters in the UK. It was just 1 year masters in the UK. It's quite rushy, and then you're doing only your thesis in only 3 months or thereabouts. And also too, my master's in the UK was more like a broad area of study towards pollution, and I needed something specific. And then I got to understand that for Erasmus program, you would spend at least 1 year for doing researches. This includes your thesis and also your internship. So I was like, yeah, I think I really do need this. In terms of having this second master's degree, it has been helpful because it has given me in-depth knowledge, skills, and also expertise in my subject area. To try, like it gives you that time to study well. It gives you that time to give much time into your research. It has also exposed me to industry experience. Can't forget my professional practice. That's what we call internship, and the things I did there. In fact, like some of the samples I worked with, the samples came from South Africa. So you could imagine having samples from Africa coming down, and then you're the one working on the samples, and then sending your reports back to your supervisor to be sent back to the school it was sent from. So some of these things, and this also enhances your employability. And then also to the networking opportunities, that one is superb. It's like traveling to different countries, but you are in one room. I've met more than 30 nationalities, and you see different people, different cultures, different different arrangements. And also too, I think there's one thing with Erasmus. It gives you a clear sense of direction and purpose. Yes, at the time you're done with first, because the way at least my program, the way it is arranged, it comes from general, specific, and then your thesis. So your first semester is about general courses. For instance, for myself, marine general courses in under marine science and the rest. And then it now comes to sub-specific to what I was trying to do, which was on impact assessment and pollution. And then my third semester, it comes down to my choosing subject area. And then after that, it was now my thesis. So you could see it gave me a direction from the top down. It's like a top-bottom effect, from the top down to my research. And then after my research, you already know what you want to do next year. So these things were some of the benefits. There are quite many, but these are the ones I can just recall for now. And then you talked about experiences that might inspire our listeners. So I would add experience, and then also I would add experiences, and then also challenges. Yes, because it can be nice because you will hear you're traveling, but accommodation issues in Europe is quite huge. And then so yes, the program makes you to be a good project manager, because by the time you're in your second semester, you're already planning for your accommodation in your third semester. You're booking a place. You're talking to people in another country that should secure a place for you, and then you're planning for your flights, for your movement, for this, for that. So yeah, so that's one interesting thing about Erasmus. It keeps you on your toes, and then the experience of traveling. If for instance, if it's your first time leaving your home country, then you would really enjoy Erasmus because you travel a lot, and also to the Schengen visa, which is given to you for at your host institution, can take you to
Mm,
7 or more countries under EU. So you're sure that
yeah.
you can travel with little or no amount. You can travel different countries, see different cultures, see different music, taste different food. Yeah, so that's and
Yeah.
then you can make and then you can make long life connections and friendships. Yes, you would make lots of friends. But then sometimes the friendship, what I mean is this: you go to your first semester. For instance, I did my first semester in Belgium. I got some friends during my 3 months, 3 to 4 months stay there, and then you live there and go to Italy. When you go to Italy, you're not moving with the same set that was with you in Belgium. You're meeting different persons. Maybe two or
Oh,
three persons will come from Belgium. Yeah, so you're meeting different persons entirely. Like for instance,
oh,
in my program, we have 11 institutions for the program, and then in my set we had 120 students. There are students I didn't see until the day we went for the graduation. That was when I saw them.
that's
Yeah, because exactly. Yeah, so you would make lifelong connections, and also you get to make different friends. Yeah, then you get to learn different things. Yeah, that's one experience I would share. Yeah, that to inspire anyone out there. If you love traveling, then Erasmus is a go for you. If you love meeting new people, if you love research, then Erasmus is for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Git, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. I mean, you've been very, very real. You've talked about the benefits of the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. You've given tips on how to apply, and then you've also shared some of the challenges that could come along with it. For instance, how the money will go, you may not be able to work, and everything all together. But I mean, altogether, it sounds like an exciting experience, and I'm sure that your perspective is invaluable to our listeners. So thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I was able to to encourage
Yeah.
potential Erasmus Mundus scholars here. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gift. So, I want to say thank you as well to all our listeners for tuning in. I want to believe that Gift is accessible on social media, definitely LinkedIn. So, you can drop him a message. If you have specific questions, again, that have not been covered, but I do believe that this was quite an in depth session. And if you are considering graduate studies abroad, remember that Erasmus Mundus Scholarship can pave the way for incredible experiences and career advancements, just as Gift has showed us. But until next time, so keep exploring and striving for your academic goals. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Scholar Chit Chat. If you found our conversation insightful and enjoyable, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated. We've got a lot more in store and we don't want you to miss out.
We are always diving into topics like this: academics, scholarship, professional life, and the international student experience. It's what makes Scholars Chit Chat your go-to podcast for a fresh perspective. Also, don't keep all this wisdom to yourself. Share this episode with your friends and family who could benefit from it. We are building a community of learners and would love for you to be a part of it.
Your thoughts matter to us. We want to hear from you. Drop your comments and questions in the chat, or send your questions, suggestions, and comments to scholarchitchat@gmail.com. Your input helps shape the future of Scholar Chit Chat.